There's a famous experiment. Scientists put a shark in a large tank. On one side, the shark. On the other side, a school of fish, separated by a single pane of clear glass. The shark attacked, slammed into the glass. Pain. It tried again. Pain. Again. Pain. After hitting that glass dozens of times, the shark stopped. It learned something. Swimming toward those fish means pain. Don't do it. Then the scientists did something cruel. They removed the glass. The fish were right there. No barrier. Nothing stopping the shark. The shark didn't move. It starved to death, surrounded by food it could have eaten. Most people hear this story and think, what a dumb animal. I hear this story and think, that's me. That might be you, too. Here's what I mean. You tried something. It failed. It hurt. You tried again. Failed again. So you learned the lesson. That doesn't work. Don't do it. And that lesson saved you. For a while. But here's what nobody tells you. The world doesn't stay still. Markets change, people change, opportunities change. The glass gets removed. And you're still sitting there, not moving, because your brain remembers the pain from a wall that no longer exists. You're not failing because you're lazy. You're not failing because you're stupid. You're failing because you're following a rule that made perfect sense in a world that no longer exists. Ancient Chinese philosophy has two words for this. Shu, the method, the specific thing you do. Dao, the principle, the reason it works. In plain English, tactics and principles. Tactics are what you do in a specific situation. Principles are what's true in every situation. The shark learned a tactic. When you see fish through glass, don't attack. What it should have learned was a principle. Before attacking, check if there's an obstacle. One is useful in one situation. The other works everywhere. Forever. Let me make this real. I know a salesman. Call him David. David figured out a system in his 20s. Always start with small talk. Family, weekend, sports. Build the relationship first, then do business. It worked brilliantly. His numbers were the best on the team. He taught everyone around him. 10 years later, clients are busier. Nobody wants small talk anymore. They want you to get to the point. David's team fell apart. Numbers collapsed. Everyone blamed the market. David's numbers? Still strong. Why? Because David never actually believed in small talk. He believed in something deeper. Make the other person feel comfortable before you ask for anything. When clients had time, he used conversation. When clients were busy, he used respect. 2 sentences, direct, efficient. I know you're busy. Here's exactly what I think you need. Same principle, different method. That's the difference between someone who succeeds once and someone who succeeds everywhere. So how do you find your principle? 3 questions. 1. What exactly am I doing? Write it down. Be specific. 2. Why does this work? Not what. Why? Keep asking why until you hit something that feels fundamental. 3. Would this still work if everything around me changed? If the answer is no, that's a tactic. If the answer is yes, that's a principle. Most people stop at question 1. They learn the what. They call it experience. They never find the why. The people who stay dangerous in any market, any industry, any era, they always find the why. There's an old Chinese story about a cook. His knife was 19 years old, still sharp. Every other cook's knife, dull within weeks. How? Other cooks hacked. Force, speed, power. They met resistance head-on, and that resistance destroyed their tools. This cook understood the structure of what he was cutting. He found the natural gaps, the spaces where things come apart easily. He didn't cut through resistance. He moved around it. His knife never dulled because it never met anything hard. The question isn't how hard you're working. The question is, are you hacking through resistance, or are you finding the gap? Let me get specific about your life. If you're building a career, your specific skills are tactics. They expire. AI is making this happen faster than ever. Your ability to learn new skills, that's a principle. That never expires. If you're in business, the exact thing that made you successful might be the thing that's limiting you now. Not because you did anything wrong, because the glass moved. Stop copying what successful people do. Start asking why it worked for them. If you're in a relationship, the specific things you did to connect early on were tactics for that season. The principle underneath? Making the other person feel seen. That never changes. Back to the shark. It wasn't stupid. It observed. It learned. It adapted. Those are exactly the things every self-help book tells you to do. But it made one tiny mistake with enormous consequences. It learned, when I see fish, don't attack. It should have learned, before I attack, check for obstacles. One word difference. When versus whether. When assumes the conditions are fixed. Whether asks, are the conditions still true? That one word is the difference between being trapped by your experience and being freed by it. The shark died surrounded by everything it needed, not because the food was gone, because it was certain it already knew the answer. Right now, you might be standing in front of an opportunity that looks exactly like the wall that hurt you before. Before you walk away, ask one question. Is the glass still there? Or are you following a rule that only made sense when the conditions were different? Pao Ding's knife stayed sharp for 19 years because he stopped forcing and started finding the gap. Every wall in your life has one. You just have to stop hitting it long enough to look. This is Deep Stratagem. See you in the next one.